And of course, have it cost-free. This is a PR move, okay? So you have to market it well. Hear me out. There's been collaborations in the past. NASCAR has teamed up with hip-hop. I don't know if you all know the rapper Ludacris has him. He's in a stock car, he's a NASCAR race now, okay? Ford Motor Company. Many Fortune 500 companies have teamed up with the hip-hop industry. Of course, money being made on both sides, okay? This is something that's worth noting. A cartoon should be in the works for what you guys are doing, what some of you have accomplished, okay? I mean, we could get some real pilots to hold up their certifications and licenses and their hours logged instead of bling-bling alcohol and guns in these videos, okay? I mean, we could get aviators to ask P. Diddy to create a throwback line of the BPA attire, okay? We could get them to have a throwback line of the Tuskegee bomber gear and to videotape it to the world. Just sit back and see what happens, okay? You never know until you try. We could team up with a partnership fashionable with the Charlotte Bobcats, the New Jersey Nets, the Cleveland Cavaliers. These are all pretty much black-owned teams, but we don't have to just look at just black-owned teams. We need to explore our options and try other teams as well, okay? Just keep these random thoughts going. Hulk Hogan has, in 25 years ago, the WWF had a cartoon, I don't know if you all remember. It was Hulk Hogan's animated TV series. I watched it when I was a youngster. Now he has a reality show, okay? And so, of course, you might want to explore a reality show. I mean, they have deep sea crab fisherman shows out. Now the Loggers have a show out of Oregon. Okay, you guys are black pilots. You're pilots. Not all of you are African American, but it doesn't matter. You guys are pilots, okay? And that's a skill. It should be a show. After all, you guys. I mean, you got to go ahead and network it, but I think it's something that's worth exploring, okay? So seriously, we need to consider this, and I want some credit for it too. Here we go. Flavor Flav has a show. He's the clown prince of hip hop. Buffoonery to the nth degree, and he has a show. So I know that some of us in here can do a show, okay? So in the last few years, I've gotten ahead. After the developed years of my late 20s, and just being formally introduced into aviation by pilots of all ethnicities, I've seen the promise that aviation camps and aviation programs can provide for youth in my time spent in listening to Mr. William P. Crenshaw. Mr. Crenshaw, as Colonel Sullivan mentioned a second ago, was a civilian instructor with the original Tuskegee Airmen. He is one of 13 known Arkansans, okay, that have been involved in some capacity with the original Tuskegee Airmen experience. Every generation has its heroes and sheroes. And Mr. Crenshaw and the Crenshaw types are heroes for the intergenerational genre, meaning they, of course, accomplished, and their accomplishments transcend all eras and are time-honored, in other words, the classics. With the exception of my biological father, Mr. Crenshaw has been the most influential man in my adult life. Not only as a pioneering aviator, but as a living specimen of great health. This man is 90 years old. He drives his own car every day. He cuts grass when it needs to be cut. He goes shopping for himself. He can talk about 50 Cent in one sentence and turn around what happened about 60 years ago, okay? Not too many people at that age don't get around without some type of medication or something. So I always look to him about things like that. So this is why he's one of my role models. And he's an example, a living example of a good balanced diet, good spiritual upbringing, a good historical background, and he exposes me to different things that I couldn't otherwise even have the audacity to talk about. This original Tuskegee Airman is not alone. There are scores of other OTAs that have gone from piloting airplanes to piloting academic programs, becoming majors and mayors, to becoming PhDs, MAs, and MDs, to creating their own inventions, to opening up their own businesses and making historic advances in the USF, to becoming master teachers, trailblazers, politicians, authors, and all types of tricks and trades. The Black Pilots of America Incorporated is a living, flying organization that was established in 1997 with members and leadership that is focused on providing an atmosphere for everyone, not just young people, okay, to learn how to fly, to become knowledgeable of the aviation jargon, and perhaps own their own airplane someday. They make sure that the culture of aviation is viewed the same way any other professional hobby or career where you can get ahead. The BPA has chapters throughout America, from the Roscoe Draper chapter in Philly, my hometown, to the California Red Tails, and everywhere in between. You got the Dr. Forsyth chapter, the ATL, the NO, the Houston chapter, Chicago, Wichita, Kansas, Tuskegee, Maryland, Phoenix, New Jersey, Missouri, or Missouri as some folks will say, Tulsa, Florida, Detroit, and Pine Bluff, Arkansas, to name a few. The event where you could get a good look at the entire fleet of black aviators, or at least a portion of it, is the largest event attended by black pilots on Memorial Day weekend. This aviation-based edutainment program is called Operation Skyhook. The BPA and its members have gone beyond and above the call of duty to try to get interested people more involved in taking advantage of this wonderful opportunity. Not only the BPA, but other aviation programs and aerospace centers have for our future generations. The first time I heard about something about the BPA, it was last year this time, and it was in Sherrill, Arkansas, at the home of Mr. Willie C. Smith, owner and operator of Smith International Airport, 9 nautical miles from here. Right, Mr. Smith? I was accompanied by Mr. Crenshaw and the entire Judge Robert Decatur chapter of the Tuskegee Airmen of Jacksonville, Arkansas, and some deserving high school students who signed up to participate and learn about aircraft mechanics. On that day, I recognized several firsts in my life. It had been the first time I set foot on an all-black-owned airport and hangar. It had been the first time I flew non-commercially. It was the first time I flew with Tuskegee royalty with Mr. Crenshaw, who was the sidekick of Chief Anderson. And it was my first day in Sherrill, Arkansas again. Also on that day, Mr. Smith notified me about the Gateway Eagles, and he said that they were coming to land on this field, and it was the first time I saw the Gateway Eagles. I acted as if I were a child in a candy store. I had no idea of the magnitude of what he said in terms of the number of black pilots, men and women, that had extensive background, full of expertise, the official and necessary credentials to be professional pilots, certified. I'm a frequent flyer. I have flown most of the major airlines, including Delta, Continental, Northwest, American, U.S. Airways, AirTran, JetBlue, you name it. And in my years of flying, economy mostly, 2 times first class, I can only think about 1 time I actually saw an African-American at the controls in the cockpit. I had to check my calendar because I thought it was October 31st. I thought it was April Fool's Day. That's how it hit me. That's something that you don't see every day. And I'm serious with this. I mean, I thought it was Halloween. I was looking for, somebody with some, candy corn or something. I mean, for me personally, it was a rare occurrence. And this happened some years ago that I witnessed this. Statistics record some 75,000 pilots flying in America, and less than 2% of them are African-American descent. And a smaller fraction of that is the gender-related one, and the lack of women. Nationally, I guess in my travels, and this is just my guess, that middle-aged European males have an overwhelming presence as commercial pilots. Now, back in Arkansas, me and Crenshaw left Smith's International Airport and flew in a small Cessna from Sherrill to Pine Bluff's Brighter Field to meet some of Crenshaw's aviation buddies. One of his former students was a man by the name of Senator Rick Root, from native of Tennessee, who has a lot of hours. Thanks to the piloting of Mr. Michael Washington, we arrived safely. I got off the plane and thought about touching the ground with my lips to embrace Mother Earth. Not only because we made a safe landing, but due to the fact that I saw a sea of black aviators and accompanying aircraft as far as the runway would permit, as far as the eye could see.